Hi, this is Laura from Slip Stitch Studios, and today I'm going to teach you how to turn your hank into a cake. It's not actually the hardest thing on the scale of fiber arts. It's actually the first step, which is lucky for you. It's really simple to learn. So you may get your yarn in a hank like this. There are beautiful luxury fibers like Anzula or Forbidden Woolery that come very nicely done in these little hanks. You might go to Joann's or Kmart or wherever else they sell yarn, and you might end up getting them in these little pre-cakes. Now, the problem with the pre-cakes is they're not always center pull, and sometimes they've got a real funky knot in the inside. So I always suggest, if you want to have smooth sailing with your knitting, to go ahead and cake these up as well. We will do that maybe in a different episode. Today, we're turning hanks to cakes. All right, guys? So, first, you just unhook your hank. Usually it's just a little loop pattern, and it'll turn into a nice necklace like this, see? Now, most yarn dyers will actually connect their yarn with these little tight yarn knots. You are okay to cut this. You'll see that it's not attached to anything else in the hank, and it's not going to hurt it. So easily snip that. Just make sure you've only got that piece in your snips, and go ahead and do that all the way around. This is the first step. As you can see, this one's got 4. And in case you're wondering, this lovely skein here, I actually did have the the nice piece of paper that tells me who it's from. This is from the Shepherdess and Pagewood Farms, actually. I'm not sure if they're still around, but they used to be local here in California, and I got it at the Torrance Fiber Festival, which is still going on. We just had one in May, and it is really gorgeous yarn. Caught my eye immediately, as you all know. That's how it goes. So while you're doing that, you're going to notice that there, see if you can see this, there's a little string. So this is the beginning of this hank, which is great. You always want to try to find that string. So I've got my umbrella yarn swift here. It's secured to my table here very nicely. Always make sure it's very secure. Nice and tight, twist that down at the bottom. Now this pops up like this. Now I like to do it a little bit small to start, just so I can get my hank over. Sometimes it's a little bigger. You just untwist it, it tightens it, lift it all the way to the X's, the little valleys of these wooden pieces here. I'm sure there's a technical term for this. Feel free to leave that in the comments. So you can see here, I've got it here. Now I'm just going to go through and make sure it's not twisted, because sometimes you can have it like a little twisted around, like right here. I don't know if you can see that. But it's a little bit twisted, so I'm just going to make sure it's all the same direction. And that will help with a smooth spin. All right, so this has a little knot on the end of it. I'm just going to snip it off. Makes it easier to go through. The little wire hook here. Now, hopefully you can see there's a little wire hook on your yarn winder. You just slip this through the holes and attach it up here at the top. I have a royal cake maker here, and you just attach it here at the top. So give it a little slack. Start winding it in tight. Now, I don't have this set up ideally. It probably should be in a direction where gravity is doing most of the work. As you can see, I'm pulling this yarn. But you can have 2 people doing it. One that spins this to keep it fluid, or you can maybe WD-40 it to make it go faster. And then one person who's over here spinning. Now, as I've got a good amount of yarn on my cake, you can see it's a lot easier. There's a lot more leverage to take this yarn on. So one of the big deals, one of the reasons why you're slipping that little piece of yarn up at the top of this cake is that this is going to be your center pull. And as you're doing this, this gives you the satisfaction and the clarity of knowing that there's no knots locked inside your cake. which is such a blessing when you're knitting or crocheting. You don't want this to come out. It's so nice to just be able to not worry about your yarn when you're working on a project, especially when the project usually comes with all of the fun little roadblocks. Hopefully not. But as you can see, so I'm just going to wind this all up. Very simple, very easy as it goes. It's going to get nice and chubby over here on the winder. And at that point, you can decide to put this into 2 balls if you'd like to do two socks at once, and you want to have 2 center pull balls. That's an awesome way to do it. This is another way to manage your colorways. If you've noticed that you've purchased a colorway that maybe isn't in the order that you prefer, this is another great way to do that. It's always nice to just take a look at what you've got going, make sure you've got a nice looking ball going, cake, and it is nice and tight right now, so that's very good. It's going to be really great knit up. It also looks gorgeous. It's another great way to see the colors on your yarn. I mean, really, I would suggest before you choose a pattern for a yarn, sometimes it's nice to get it into a cake to see what it's going to be. I mean, if you're a yarn before a pattern type person like I am, some people are so organized they can pick out a pattern before they pick out the yarn. I really commend you people that can do that. I guess there's occasionally a pattern that I'm like, oh my god, I gotta find a yarn for that. That's true. That happens often too. Really just an impulse on beauty knitter as it is for me, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. As you can see, we're starting to get down about halfway through the skein here. One thing that I've noticed is that the tail end of the skein has knocked itself loose, so it's kind of flipping around. So just be wary of that. That can cause some issues, depending on the type of yarn, if it catches. I'm just keeping an eye on it right now. It's still keeping a pretty small length, so it's not going to be a huge issue, but I do see it knocking my working string here. So we're getting it to the end here. Let's see if we can make it without it getting tangled. It's like yarn chicken. You guys playing yarn chicken with me? How's that adrenaline? Do it! We're almost there. Here we go. Last couple rounds. And by couple, I mean like 20. We do couples and tens here. Here we go, almost done. That little string is not catching up to the speed I've got going on here. Woo! All right, so that's done. All right, so I'm going to bring this over to you guys so you can see what it looks like. Because it's a little far away. And I don't have a zoom feature. Those fancy zoom features. So as you can see, this is what it looks like on the cake maker. Yarn winder, ball winder. Keep trying to make fancy names for stuff. So I'm just going to press this out like this. All right, now here you see we have a nice center pull. Oh, so nice. It's going to come out so smooth. I love it. So I'm just going to wrap the tail end of this yarn around the edge. And there we have a cake. Now, I'd love to show you what to do with that cake. So I have here a yarn sock. We make these in the shop. And I have created these so that they fit really nicely around these yarn cakes. So you're just going to place it like this, just like you're sticking a sock on your yarn. And you can see the hole at the bottom and the hole at the top. If you wanted to, you could have 2 of these and then do 2 socks at a time. And let's see, here we go. All right, so here's how it works. Isn't this cool? So this is how you make a yarn cake. This is the best place to put a yarn cake. These also can hook onto a carabiner or keychain of some kind, and then you could do color work with them and keep all of your yarn separate from fighting. It's so great because as this is an elastic fabric, and as you are knitting or crocheting and using your yarn, it will start to collapse, which is so great because it fits different sizes It doesn't matter how big or how little your cake is, this thing will stretch right over it, and it will allow you to have a nice center pull ball no matter what. And that's how you make a yarn cake, and that's how you keep a yarn cake nice. Thanks guys, thanks for watching. Please leave comments below. Bye.